So welcome everyone. Jamie and I are here. We're so happy to have all of you. Morning, Jamie.
Good morning, everyone.
And so today we're going to talk about, and I know Maud actually has some experience recent with this. So it'll be interesting to get her little experiences with her mice that she has. So we're going to talk about how do you help an animal that you don't know and that may be a little shy or fearful of you when you come into their presence, or you're sitting with them, or if it's at the shelter, it's a new dog or cat and they seem really fearful. And hey, welcome, Kelly. So glad you're here, because I know you have a lot of information on this as well with all your shelter experience, and Jamie's got a lot of experience as well with her rescues that she works with. A lot of times this happens, and I had the most incredible experience. Well, I didn't have the experience, my student did, and I wanted to share it with all of you because it was really powerful. And it really emphasizes all that our practice brings and shares with us. So my student Laureli, she works in Costa Rica at a wild animal park, and in Costa Rica it is illegal to have parrots. So people bring the parrots into the rehabilitation where she works, but unfortunately Costa Rica bans them, but they don't fund the rehabilitation. So they have like 100 parrots. They can't get rid of them. They just have to care for them. So usually the parrotry, whatever the birdery place is filled with these loud, noisy parrots. And she said, like, some mimic sirens, some mimic people. There's just this constant cacophony of noise going on. And she said that the other day, a parrot, not little, but a parrot came in, and he was very, very fearful. And she said when parrots get fearful or excited, their eyes dilate and do what's called popping. So it goes boom, 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 boom. And it's a sign when they're excited if they get really overly heated, but it's also a sign of extreme fear or anger. So he was doing this just onto it. And so she decided that she would sit. She just started level 1, so she didn't know any of our practices, but she actually went to the conference and she heard David Michi, and David Michi gave the green Tara mantra. So in the Let Animals Lead method, you are going to learn mantras as well. And in my Animal Reiki for Reiki Practitioner course, you're going to learn what we call the element mantra. And I don't know if Kelly does any special mantras, or Jamie when they do a class, all is well is a mantra. But what Laureli did was the green Tara mantra. And we'll do it at the end for our meditation today. And I'm going to send you all a recording. But when she sat down to do the green Tara meditation, which is just, I think it's Om Tare Tutare Tore Soha, over and over, she said that the scared parrot started to relax. And then he started to get really relaxed, and his eyes softened and his whole body softened. And then what happened? All the other parrots started to quiet down. Now 100 parrots were quiet, all because she sat in that space, didn't focus on, oh my gosh, here's a scared parrot. What are we going to do? How do I fix this? It was just coming in, sitting with the parrot, not trying to change what's happening, not trying to fix what's happening, but just to be with what was happening, and doing the green Tara chant. And again, it's Om Tare Tutare Tore Soha, just over and over, right? And then if you learn level 2, you get like Chokure, you go O-U-A-E, or if you do the element chant, it's Abi Ra Unken. There's different mantras, or you could do all is well, all is well, all is well. But the point of a mantra is what Laureli was doing was it keeps you focused here. It keeps you focused on your chant, but your energy goes out. And your energy isn't one of, oh, there's something wrong, or, oh, I'm worried, or, oh, I'm angry. It just is. And so she was there for the one little parrot who did relax and let go, but then she was also helpful to all the other 100 parrots complete silence. And she said, and then a tour would come through. And when the tour would come through, the parrots would get excited. And she said, and then, when the tour had left, she'd go back to her chant and they would go back to being quiet. So that's really what we can offer as animal Reiki practitioners. And even if you're not an animal Reiki practitioner yet, just by focusing on your breath, focusing on your heart, and not focusing on, oh my gosh, this is happening, I need to fix this. That makes a huge difference, because we don't realize our energy, when we're in fix mode, our energy is in fix mode. It's like, you're broken, I need to fix you. Something's wrong with you, I need to fix you. That's not healing or loving, to tell someone you're broken. Like, I'm going through a really hard time right now. The people that I get the most support from are the ones that say, oh yeah, that's bad, but it'll be done soon. And thank God you got your practice, or I'll send you Reiki, or whatever that is. Not the ones that go, oh, what are you going to do? Oh, how can you fix this? That thing. And it's like, wait a second, I don't need that. Like, I know how to get through this. I know how to fix it in a way that I can live with. But what I need right now is empathetic witnesses, right? And that's what we are as animal Reiki. We're empathetic witnesses. We have compassion, we have empathy, but we're not trying to fix or heal. We're just sitting there in that space of love. So if you have two friends and one is just going to sit next to you and say, I love you and I'm here for you. Or you have a friend who's like, oh my gosh, so what can we do? How can you fix this? Well, you should try this. Like, what energy do you want to sit with? You're going to gravitate towards the one that's the empathetic witness and is just there sitting with you, holding space for you in that beautiful space of love. So that's my story that I wanted to open up and share with, because I thought it was just such a beautiful example of when we are going to meet another animal and they don't know us, just like that parrot did not know Laureli. He was in with 100 other parrots. But what she did was, I'm just going to create peace and love and security by chanting. And it seems so passive, yet you can feel from that example how powerful it is. So Jamie, I want to turn it over to you to share your thoughts on this.
Yeah, absolutely. And for everybody who's meditated with parrots, how difficult that can be to stay focused, because they are loud. And, I have the same situation, gill crease here. It's much smaller number of parrots, but they had it's the cockatoo or cockatiel, the white ones, the bad boys of the parrot world. I can't remember which one it is. And then they had the great big macaws. And so my student and I went in there and it was noisy. The bad boys were like, they wanted attention. People were there, and they can go overhead on you. And so we just started to chant quietly, and the macaws immediately just quieted down. And then here come the bad boys, and they're quieter, but they're coming over, and then they're kind of cooing, and they want our attention. But at least they had calmed down a little bit. And I think it's just, it's so powerful when it's just our way of being with animals, and they respect that. It's a very respectful approach that we use, and they know. I mean, they immediately can sense that with you. And so when you go in and just like with the birds, there's no way I would just be able to silently meditate without, some kind of earplugs or something, because they're so loud. But to do the chant makes it easier for me when I'm in a loud environment, because I feel it. Then I'm feeling it as well. I can feel that vibration in me as it goes out. So I find the chanting works really well when you're in those kind of environments and with those kind of animals.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I like how you say with those kind of animals, because I know Kelly, I'm going to turn it over to you in a minute. Kelly and I have experience when we go out to care. There's these macaws and they are so loud. Well, all of the macaws and the cockatoos are always like, hello, George, hello, George. And they're always so loud and they screech like, oh my gosh, like nobody's business. But when we're out there meditating, whether it's the chanting or just sitting, they start to calm down. They start to go quiet. And we've had experiences out there where we are chanting, and the whole property goes quiet from the chant. It's really interesting. Even the wild birds that are usually loud, everyone quiets down. One thing I would caution with if you're in just you and an animal, a scared animal, I wouldn't do my go-to as the chanting out loud. I would just say it very softly to yourself, like, so choco is O-U-A-E. So it would just be like, oh, oh. You'd want to keep something really soft so that you're not jarring them, because a lot of animals like chanting. I know my dogs love chanting. They don't care, but they know me. So they feel safe already. So if we're going with another animal, we wouldn't want to start with, oh, wait, and then
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah.
yeah, because I know one of my students, I sent her Franz's chanting, and Franz is like, oh, and it's really, and she said, oh my God, it's scary. Oh, it's you, Maud. Scared. So if you want to talk about that, I'm going to turn to Kelly and then I'll come back to you, because Maud, that's right, it was you who said it. And I can just imagine, because Franz's voice is so loud and just booming. So I do want to share that, just make sure that we do it very quietly. So Kelly, I would love to hear your comments on this as well.
Yeah, I do that in the dog run, the dog kennels at the shelter, because they're all barking when you come in, naturally. So, and it also has an added benefit of helping me to focus. So I'm not just doing the chant, but it's helping me to focus. So I do it very quietly, as you said, Leah. Just chokeaway, OAE is just the best one for me, because it quiets my mind. And with all this other stuff going on, I've tried earbuds and stuff, but it's not the same. And so when I just sit there and do that chant, I notice there'll be one dog that gets quiet, and then maybe another dog notices the chant too, and then the second one gets quiet, and then one by one they start to quiet down as they hear a different noise, right? So they're so attuned to the noises in the shelter. And so when they hear this different noise, they just get quiet for a moment. And then as everybody else is getting quiet, then they just all get quiet. So it's really nice. It works great there. And same thing, really softly. I noticed too at care, definitely the birds and the monkeys got really quiet with our practice, but also with our chanting.
Mm-hmm.
And because it can be super loud when you walk down that path where George and the other guys are, all those birds, and then there's a spider monkey there too. So yeah, it can be really wild there, and I really noticed how quiet they all got when we were practicing there.
Yeah, Beth, you went there as well. Do you want to comment really quickly on that experience for you, because you were there when we did the chanting? And
Well, that was my experience as well. As the birds all really got quiet when we were chanting, and they all got very, very noisy when I was having a negative experience with an animal. It's like they know both ends of the spectrum. They're
right.
really intense, yeah. But the chanting is really effective, and I had the same experience with Kelly told me about chanting in the dog run, and I had that same experience in the sense of just gently, like you said, just gently chanting really has an effect on the dogs as well.
Oh, lovely. Thank you so much, Beth. Thank you so much, Kelly. And Diane, I'm not sure if we said hello or not, but welcome. It's so good. I know Diane's got to leave quickly, but we're glad to see you here. So Maud, I would love to open it up to you so you could share your two experiences, one with the chanting with your dog, but also with the mice, because these are new mice. They don't know you, and mice are prey animals.
You said, Leah, I started to chant along with Francine and his very heavy man voice choir. And our Cocker Spaniel took a short look at me, and she started to run frantic around the room and not knowing where the sounds were coming from, and totally freaking out, like, what's happening to me? But as I continued later on, just by myself, walking the dog in the forest, she was totally zen and she was totally fine. She loved it. So, and last Saturday night, I had an experience with my mice. I have 4 tiny mice, and they are like 3 months old now, and they're really not tame, and they live in a big enclosure. And and most of the time I don't see them. And just for fun, I set myself in front of their enclosure and opened the big lid, and my husband and son were watching TV just at the other end of the room, and I started to chant the Chanting, pretty not so loud, just more in myself, but they could hear it. And one by one, the first two brave ones, which always show up twice a day as I feed them, but also the two pretty scared ones showed up. And at one time, they were all with the four of them in a row, just watching me. And I was even wondering if they would jump out and just jump towards me, because they were so like, whoa, what's happening here? They were so curious and so attracted to what was happening. And well, sometimes they ran a circle through the enclosure, but they always kept on coming back, and just until I stopped, and then they moved back to their tiny places where they hide. But it was fabulous. It was magic. Yeah.
I love that so much, because these, little prey animals like bunnies and mice, they're normally very fearful of humans, and they don't know you well because you haven't even had them that long and they've been hiding. Yeah. And then, when we chant and we go inward, our energy goes outward, and we may not feel it very strongly, right? But they really responded. They came forward. They were watching you. They were interested. I love that so much. Thank you so much, Maud, for sharing that.
Thanks.
So that's, when we have so many tools through our system. And even if you haven't studied this system with us, we can give you some tools. I'm going to give you the green Tara mantra at the end of the call. That will be our meditation. We have it seems like there's a lot of people passing and a lot of animals that are passing. And I know that Kelly's brother is in Guam, and it just got hit by a Cat 4 hurricane or typhoon. So there's a lot going on in the world. And so it's nice. Green Tara is a really beautiful chant. So we'll do that at the end. But there's lots of things we give you here too, just the meditations that we do, sometimes at the beginning, sometimes at the end. Those are all things that you can use, all tools that you can use to help you with fearful, shy, or animals you don't know. And really the trick is, and I'll let Jamie and Kelly also comment on this. For me, the trick is that you always go inward. You say, hello, I'm just going to sit here. I'm going to create a space. You could take as much or as little as you want, or nothing at all. Just asking permission that way and letting them know that they have the power to be with you. You're not going to force anything. And then you just sit, meditate, and focus on your breath, focus on the mantra, focus on you, and let go of any outward thoughts towards them. And that's, I say this and we're all like, yes, you just need to do this and just sit and go inward. Well, we all know the reality, right? The reality is, what's the dog doing? What's the cat doing? What's the tiger doing? And our ego gets involved. Of course, it's natural. It's going to happen. For the most part, if you could just bring yourself back to your breath, bring yourself back to where you are. And even if the animal isn't responding, and that happens too, and then our egos get butthurt, that's okay. They might take it after you leave. So your energy is still there. We think, oh, Reiki on, Reiki off, right? It doesn't work that way. We create a beautiful space, we leave, and that energy is still there. And that's scientifically proven. They've had government tests that prove that energy stays. So it's like when you ring a bell and the sound goes out, right? Even though the bell isn't ringing anymore, the sound is still traveling outwards. And that's like how it is with our energy. So sometimes we might leave and the animal will then decide, okay, now I'm going to relax and go to sleep, because they might be a little bit tense with us, especially a new animal. So even like Maud's little mice, they might have gone back and just really relaxed and felt better. And maybe now they'll come out a little bit more, a little bit more, a little bit more. It's a process. Nothing's going to happen. Sometimes animals will be like, oh my gosh, you're my best friend now. And sometimes animals need a little bit more time. So Jamie, I don't know if you want to add something to that as well.
And I think that you made really good points. For me, sometimes, I don't even sit in meditation. I just sit and be present.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not trying to meditate. I'm not trying to get their attention. I'm not trying to do anything. I'm just, being present with them. And if they want to move away, that's okay. If they want to come closer, if it seems like maybe they might be interested, then I do it. But a lot of times I'll just sit and be present with them.
Yeah, that's a really good trip. So coming in, being quiet, and then being present. Just because you can clean a cage around an animal. I've done that with, like one horse in particular. I do it with all the horses when I used to volunteer at Pregnant Mare. One horse, she was completely schizo, and they couldn't take her out of the stall to clean her pen. So just being in there and being quiet, talking to her quietly, and keeping my energy balanced and quiet, but being mindful and still doing things. So that's a really good tip, to be mindful. And Kelly, I'm not sure if you want to add something as well.
Well, one of the things Beth and Judy and I do at Rutland County when we're there together, the hallway is kind of narrow where the kennels are. And so a lot of times just turning sideways and away from, not facing the dogs is really helpful. And just, staying, kind of eyes off. I think that's where the fear-free training that we had was really, really helped us a lot too, of like how to be around a nervous animal or animal that's upset. Same thing, like just being really careful not to constantly check in with them and looking at them and, all of that. So giving that's more confrontational a lot of times for the animals when we're doing that. And,
Right.
there's always the option of just sitting outside the door.
Yeah.
No matter what level you are, you can be a level 1 and still sit outside the door, because even though we think of distance Reiki a lot of times is a level 2 practice, we're already doing it because we're hands off with let animals lead. So, the let animals lead method also, that's setting us up for not re-traumatizing animals.
Oh, I love that. I love that. I'm just making a few notes. That's why you see me writing, but yeah. Say that one more time, Kelly, because that's really important.
Which part?
About the trauma. We're not re-traumatizing.
Oh, yeah. So the let animals lead method helps us not re-traumatize animals.
Yeah. And that's really important too, because think about, we all have good intentions when we go to work with these animals, but we also have the ability to re-traumatize them, even with our thoughts, worrying about them, focusing on, oh my gosh, what's going to happen? Look, we got an open wound. I know when you went to India, Kelly, mindset was really important, because if you want to share about that a little bit.
Yeah, definitely. There's so much happening in the kennels and cat house there, and a lot of animals who were, had disabilities and things like that. And I spent a lot of time in the puppy house, which was really hard because some of those puppies didn't make it. And so I would just stand in front of the kennel and offer some Reiki, or one time I was working with a dog and I got up and then I did some other stuff and I turned around and the dog and little puppy had passed. So, that's where the meditation, the things like, the chanting and that sort of thing kept me grounded. But I wasn't ready when I first went. Took me a little while to get ready. But also there's something else I was thinking about when we're practicing with the animals. Now it's gone, of course. I don't know. Came out.
Well, yeah, but if it comes back, just interrupt.
If it comes back.
Because
Oh, it's something Jamie said about how sometimes she just sits there and doesn't do anything. And just and I think maybe Jamie, you also mentioned the word witnessing. And I think that's a beautiful way to look at it. Just having, witnessing the animal's process, or maybe Leah, I don't know, somebody said that, but not, the difference for us there is that nobody's asking this animal to do anything, right? We're just being in its presence, and we're not, wanting anything from the animal. And in the shelter situation, there's always something, they're trying to get the dogs trained to be in a home. They're trying to, give the cats their shots, or, clip their claws or whatever. So there's always a need for the staff to have to work with these animals and need something from the animals. But with us, we're just sitting there and and being in that space with them without any agenda.
Yeah, and Diane, I think, shared that either last week or the week before, how, with one of her dogs that she had constant diarrhea. And so for a month, she's changing diapers, she's doing all these things. She's constantly like
Yeah.
working with her. But then she decided, you know what, I'm just going to meditate. And when she did, the dog gave out this huge sigh and then came and crawled, because she's disabled. She came and crawled and laid across her legs into her lap, because that's what she needed, right? We forget that they need that emotional support, which the Let Animals Lead method offers. You can offer that emotional support, but we can't do that if we're trying to fix. So I love that. Yeah, being an empathetic witness, just being mindful, being present. I think Jamie said that, be present with them. So all really important things that we need to remember. Hey, Mary Lynn, so good to see you.
And I think technically just our own energy, if we're really doing our practice, can make a difference.
Absolutely.
So.
I just returned from being at the animal shelter where I volunteer, and see I'm wearing the shirt.
Oh, nice. There's her animal Reiki shirt.
Yeah, and I had this very this exact experience today with dogs. This one that I spoke about last week, Sally, who was a stray found, and she anyway, and I had seen her for the first time last week. So, and she really was quiet and mellowed out, and she mellowed out. Today, though, I go in, and she's the only dog in this area, and she comes to see who it is. She comes to the door, and rah, 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 rah. And I said, "Oh, okay, hey," and I turned my back, and I walked a little bit away, and I said, "Hey, Sally, it's Mary Lynn. I was here with you last week, and I'm only bringing love. I'm here to bring you love, and you can take as much as you want, or none at all, and just know that I love you. I think you're a beautiful, loving light." And that's that. So I turned myself away, sat, and started. The Reiki was flowing, and sure enough, she nothing. And she I didn't, I couldn't see her, but I sensed she was laying on her cot. And so a little time passed, and I said, just had the feeling, let me inch. So I quietly picked up my little stool and inched like 12 inches, still on the side. And no problem. So a little time passed, and I inched another, 12 inches, nothing, quiet. She was resting. I couldn't see her. And the last time I did it again, and just before I left, I finished up, and she came to the doorway, her door, and I looked at her, and then I didn't look at her, but I was like sideways, and I snuck another peek, and she was fine. She was looking at me like she knew me. And I once again said, I'm honored that you accepted me. Thank you. And know that you are a beautiful light. You're loved here. I love you. And have a great week. I'll see you next week. And so, like respecting her space and her needs, and backing off and turning to the side, and then and she related to the energy. Yeah.
That's
Yay.
wonderful.
It was so good. I was so happy.
Yeah, that's very encouraging because last week she was very stressed
She
and
was stressed, but she didn't bark at all last week. But today when she saw me, she did. It's like I got the, stay back. And I said, oh, no problem. So I backed away, turned to the side, and it went so well.
yep.
Yeah.
There's a lot of power in that because again, we're not forcing ourselves on the animal. And I love how you backed up and then, you did inch a little bit closer. And then if you would have got a warning sign, they don't like that.
Yeah.
I would only try inching forward once. If you get a warning sign, just stop, go back and stay there. Don't keep
Yeah.
pressing it because it's not fair to the animal. And then the next time you can try to get a little closer.
Right.
Time to.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Maylin.
You're
Michelle,
welcome. It's
Michelle,
fun.
I don't know if you had something you wanted to share. I saw you unmuted for a second, so I'll give you a second if you do want to share. And if not, I know Michelle's at the airport, so she may not want to. It might have just been one of those things because she's on a phone too. I don't like Zoom on a phone only because I can never find easily, like my nephew, he does it so fast because he has to do his therapy appointments on there and he chats and I'm just like, I am not as coordinated. I'm like, oh my God. And then I lose it and it's a mess. So I guess Michelle doesn't have a question. That's fine. Does anyone else want to share? Judy or Beth or Wilma? I don't know, Sahara, if you want to unmute and share. No one? Oh yeah, go ahead, Judy. Yeah.
I was just going to share that Beth and Kelly and I were at a wild Mustang rescue, which thank you, Beth, for setting that up. And there were a bunch of chickens and roosters and all these animals around. And we were with the horses and we finished one little section that we were doing. And I hadn't noticed at all, but Kelly said, did you notice that all the chickens and all the animals went completely silent? And I hadn't noticed because I was kind of in my zone. I was like, oh yeah, because it was really noisy when we started this. So that was another example of how it just sort of, everybody just shut down. It was great.
Isn't that so cool when you're experiencing
really cool.
that, Judy? Like
Yeah.
you think, okay, I'm just doing this thing. Again, it goes back to our ego and wanting to be more limited in its beliefs. And so we start chanting, yes, this is gonna work. Yes, I know it's good. And then the whole place goes quiet. It's such a cool experience when that happens. I know Jamie's experienced that out where she's been too. It's just it's such an amazing gift that we have, but really what we're doing, I believe too, is we're all connecting, like, right? We are all connected, science proves it, but in that space, we can feel it more deeply. We are really all connected. And when, one of us starts to calm down, it's like a ripple effect. And then the energy gets bigger and bigger and bigger because you have more animals connecting in that space. So like with Laureli and the parrots, she said, the energy expanded. I know that with probably Judy and Kelly, when you're in the kennels, the energy expands. So it's just really bigger than you. So when we can let go of our thought that, oh, I'm doing this and I'm setting this and I have so much, it's actually, you do it, you set it. And once they connect, boom, now everybody's connected and big. So Kelly, I saw you unmuted. Did you have something?
Yeah, it's really exciting because Beth got us connected to this Mustang rescue that just moved into the area not that long ago, a couple of years ago maybe. And so she's been on point connecting us and contacting the people who own it to get us out there, and she's done a great job. And so Judy, the three of us went, and it was really, these are wild Mustangs, they're starting to calm down. They're working on them to get them ready to be homed, and I look over and Judy's standing there and she's just like, not even look, she's just doing her thing. And I look over, there's like a horse right in front of her. Another horse has wandered up behind that horse. And then the three of us are standing at a fence, and there was probably 6 or 7, maybe more, eight horses there. And it was a big field, and it was just really beautiful to watch them running like they might out west, right? And
Wow.
So I look over, and there's this one horse that just kept coming by, and then it came up to the fence and stopped to Judy, stopped to Beth. And then there are 3 or 4 of them standing behind, just all looking towards us. And it was really something, but what an experience. And they're just such beautiful animals. So
Yeah,
we were really
horses.
fortunate that Beth was able to set that up and we were able to get out there.
Yay,
We're
Beth.
looking forward to going monthly. So
Oh, wonderful. Because, you know, I was going to say one of our topics we're going to talk about in a week or two is about horses, why horses are some of the best teachers. I just went out to Pregnant Mare, and it was funny, speaking of chanting, we were able to sit on the ground because it's mostly older horses. There's 8 of them out there. And Will was one that had been brought in. He had a really good owner, he and another horse, but the owner had gotten old and gotten dementia, so they were starving. And the daughter had just happened to come to visit the dad and saw the horses, so she asked Pregnant Mare to take him. And unfortunately, Will's buddy passed away. So Will has been by himself, and he's had a really hard time acclimating to the herd. So while we were there, we were offering Reiki, and after just about 10 minutes, he was way far away from the herd, and then he just decided to come and join. And he was still kind of on the outskirts, but he was joining the herd, and it was really beautiful to see and to be reminded that, you know, we don't have to fix anything. We could just help support that for the animal. And then we were sitting, you know, because it's all older horses, and Leo is a horse that I've known for probably, gosh, 18 years or so. And he's a huge horse, and he's a big, what do they call them, warm bloods, so they're real big. And he was head resting when I came, and so I hadn't said hi to him, and I hadn't seen him in probably 9 years at least. And so we're sitting on the ground, and we start doing the element chant, which is Abi Ra Un Ken, and we were chanting, and all of a sudden the horses started to get like more spirited with this chanting. And I know it's happened at Remus, right, Kelly, where we do a chokure o-u-a-e, and the horses get all like, oh, we're gonna run, and so all of a sudden they're getting all woo. And then one of them was laying down, and the lead mare went over, and she was like bugging him to get up. We're getting up now. And so and Leo just comes, he lifts his head, he looks at me, and he comes running straight for me. I'm like, oh my God. So I stand up, but he stopped right before me, and he's just looking at me, and and I'm like, I could feel, he's like, oh, I know you. And he came up and he head-butted me and put his head here, and then he kind of went on his own way and did his thing. It's not like the reunion that humans, oh, it's old friends. It's like, you know, animals are like, oh, okay, I'm with my herd. But you know, it's just a beautiful gift that we have, that we can be a part of their herd, but then also, you know, realize that they're just kind of doing their thing too, and they're accepting us in. But it doesn't mean like, oh, they're just going to be all over us. Horses don't do that. You know, they kind of like, they'll hang out sometimes far away from you and hang your head. But we'll talk more about that. But my point is that if you are going to chant with horses, make sure you're in a safe place, because you don't know how that chanting will affect them. They might get really relaxed, or they might get really spirited and come running, right, Kelly? Like across the field at Remus, they have huge pastures. They're probably a half an acre, or at least a quarter acre wide, don't you think, Kelly? And they just come running, and you're like, wow, because it just kind of gets them all woo. Except, yes, Mary Lynn.
Okay, just quick, what you had said before about when the animals, or Kelly was saying about going into the kennel where the dogs are, and there's a lot of barking, and you change and such your position or move out of the room. That happened again. That happened today. There were 3 dogs in a particular kennel, and I went in to offer Reiki, and they had been quiet prior to me walking in. And then I got in, they saw me, they went mad. They went crazy. So I said, all right. I left the room, went into the hallway. There's a bench. I sat on the bench. And just like you said, within, I guess, 5, 6 minutes, silence. And I felt that it was a message from them that, oh, this is nice. We're going to take it in and relax. And so
Yeah, no, I love that. And and it helps us to remember we're not doing anything. It seems like we are because we're having to, meditate, get ourselves into balance. They don't have to do that. They don't have to go, oh, okay, now I've got to focus on my breathing. Now I've got to like calm my brain down. They just are. And so, for us, it feels like work because we have to work. But for them, it's just that, oh, I can connect. Oh, I cannot connect, whatever that is. It's just, it's so simple. So if we can remind ourselves that once we're in that space, it's really easy to be in this space. It's really easy for them to connect to us in that space. It's no work at all. It's just a matter of just being, like Jamie was saying, present, mindful, and just focusing on that breath. That's why the chanting, again, we've said this, is a great way to keep your mind focused, keep your energy focused too, right? We don't want our energy scattered. And sometimes when we're just sitting there focusing on our breath, lots of thoughts can come in, our mind could be scattered.
And I just wanted to add real quick, sometimes if you're out in an environment that you've been to before and there's new animals, the other animals will help bring those animals to you. I've had that happen a couple of times with horse and with emus. So my student and we were in with the horses, and there was one new one, and he was kind of a jerk. He was like trying to take over the herd. And so she even, the woman said, watch out for him. He's kind of a jerk right now. So he started coming up to my student, and, you could tell he was like, I'm the boss here. And another one of the mayors just came in, and she stood right in front of her and just looked at him. And then he backed away, and he did accept the Reiki, but he was put in his place. It's like, no, you don't get to bully her. And it was the same with the emus. There was 2 emus that were like coming and actually biting us and attacking us a little bit while we were doing this. And the one emu came up and she ran him off. And then she came and sat right down beside us as we continued to meditate. So sometimes I find it's the other animals that help me out.
Absolutely. That happened to me at Pregnant Mare, but it kind of a little bit opposite of what you experienced, Jamie. So it was a level 1 class, I think, and the students were standing outside the fence line and the horses were all lined up and they were all relaxing. Well, Las Vegas Dancer was a racehorse. She was very full of herself because unlike a lot of the racehorses that had come to Pregnant Mare that had been retired or had been thrown away, she actually won races. So she was very full of herself and she wasn't having any of our Reiki. She didn't want to participate. She was over here prancing and doing her thing. And then all of a sudden, when the animals started to relax, she wanted to know what that was. So she came up to the first student and she pushed the horse out of the way and she took that. And then she went down the line of the students to each person, just pushing the horse out of the way. And the other horses would, come up behind her and get back in line. But she'd push him out of the way and she'd stand there and she'd connect to that person. Then she'd do it all the way down. There's like 8 students and she got to the end and then finally she relaxed. But it's funny because the other horses weren't going to let her dictate how things happen. So yeah, it's exactly like what you're saying, that the older horses or the horses that have been there longer will, or any animals probably, but my experience and like your experience with the emus too. So yeah, so it's just an interesting, or not as an interesting, it's just when we're going to, I'm getting too far ahead of it. When we're going to approach a new animal, then our takeaways are, right, focus inward. If you're going to chant quietly, be present, be mindful. What was the other one, Kelly, you had?
Turn sideways.
Turn sideways. Don't
No eye contact.
No eye contact. Right. Do you want to continue? Sorry, I'm interrupting you.
Nope.
And so no eye contact, turn sideways. So we always want to be mindful of our mindset, right? What is our mind thinking, our body, and what is our energy? Are we focused on love and happiness and joy and peace, or are we worried? And we never want to be worried when we go sit with an animal. And so we're coming down to the end. I want to do the green Tara mantra. I also learned, oh, go ahead, Kelly, please.
Yeah, I just wanted to share a quick story because you guys reminded me of it with the horses. When Allison and I were at Wildlife SOS with the elephants, there were 3 seniors and 2 teenagers. And Susie was the oldest senior, and we were sitting at the fence, and we just started doing our breathing and started, visualizing, doing the whole thing. So anyway, Susie, one of the little ones it was coconut and peanut, I don't know which one it was, started heading towards us, and Susie came and headed the little one off and got in front of her, and then got in front of us and just took her trunk and went like this at the fence, like she was checking out the energy. And then she seemed like she was like okay with it. So then she turned around and walked away, and the little one came forward. So she had to check it out before the little ones came forward.
That is so beautiful.
It was really beautiful to see. Yeah, she was protecting them.
Yeah, and see, like our human thoughts might think, oh, she doesn't want them to have Reiki, because like how many times have we heard people say that? But sometimes it's just checking out, making sure everything's safe. They don't know you.
Right. And even the horses, a lot of times it's like the bossy one in the herd is the lead, right? So they're like, not until I'm done.
Right. Or not until I
first. Then you guys one at a time.
Yeah. Or sometimes they'll line up. I've had that happen. They'll line up behind the lead horse in one line.
I've had that too.
And then, the lead horse is next to you, but the other ones are all in a line behind in order of their hierarchy. So the little, maybe their little one or the younger one is at the very end, because that's how they do it. So really, it's just fascinating. The more you do this practice with animals, the more experiences like that you have. So one really cool, we're not going to do it, but it's just something I want you to maybe practice, is there's this really wonderful gratitude meditation. And it's just simple, like our smile meditation. So you just, take 3 cleansing breaths, ground yourself, keep your eyes closed so you block out distraction, and then you open your eyes and you look around wherever you are and name 5 things that you're grateful for. So maybe it's the trees, the oxygen the trees give. Me, I'm sitting in my car, I'm grateful for my car. I'm grateful for the sun, grateful. What you name 5 things to help you. So when you're feeling down or you're feeling really negative, that's a really wonderful gift you can give yourself, is that power of gratitude. And so if you're going in with a dog, or you're going into a situation where maybe it's a little bit harder, stop and think about all the things you're grateful for, so that can kind of turn your energy around. So I am going to now, if nobody else has any more comments, and feel free to raise your hand or jump in. Sahara, I know it's harder for you because you're on your phone, but Wilma, I'm going to assume you'll unmute yourself if you have something to share, but I'm going to share the green Tara chant right now. Oh gosh, before I do, I have to show you guys something. Oh my gosh, I just have to share this. So I've had a really hard week. I'm with my nephew. It's just been this emotional up and down. I'm living with my sister and my nephew right now. And Saturday, I literally had a meltdown. I had a physical meltdown where I couldn't even stop crying, and I know better. And so I'm like, okay, I got to get on top of this. What am I going to do? I watched Noodles. You guys have got to see that. It's only going to take a second. I just have to share this with all of you because she is the cutest little thing. Let's see if we can get it to play. And you could read, hopefully you could read that screen. But I get so much joy out of this little dog. And she literally turned my frown upside. I just had to share this with you all. Her name is Noodles the Pooch. So you can search her on YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, Noodles the Pooch. Check her out. She types. That is really her little paws typing. They taught her how to do that. It's just the most amazing thing. So now we will get to the serious stuff. Now we'll get to our. So I'm going to bring up, oops, that's the wrong screen. I don't know why. Okay, there we go. I'm going to bring up my screen with the green Tara chant. If I can get this screen to, oh my gosh, sorry guys, I can't. For some reason, I can't move my screen at all. Oh, it's because my computer is overheating or doing something. Sorry. So the chant is Om Tare Tu Tare Tore Soha. So Om Tare Tu Tare Tore Soha. Om Tare Tu Tare tore soha. And I'm pulling her up right now. Oh, of course, it's gone. There we go. So hopefully you can see this. I'll bring it down so you can see her. She's a beautiful deity. She has one of her legs outstretched like she's trying to come towards you. I'll just read a little bit about her. She is a figure in Tibetan Buddhism that represents compassion in action. She is very beautiful, and unlike other deities who are sitting, she has one leg crossed and one leg stretched out as though she's ready to step down from her lotus and come to wherever you are and to whatever is happening. She is a symbol of the fact that help is already on the way. This is a really beautiful chant. So Om Tare, Tu Tare, Tura, Soha, Ture, Soha. When you recite this mantra, you have a direct dial to Green Tara and to compassionate action. First of all, because it's a nice, very accessible mantra. It's a mantra that's very good to bless your own mind. The blessing in Buddhism simply means giving you the power to change. So it is a good blessing for you. It is a good blessing for animals too. It is especially useful for animals who need urgent support or with whom you wish to cultivate a heartfelt connection. And we know, hearing from Kelly, her brother is in Guam, and they just got hit by a Category 4 hurricane typhoon. And so can you imagine the animals that are on that island as well and what they're going through? So you can see this. I'm going to try to get where you can see everything. And can you all see the mantra as well? Okay, great. So you can see Green Tara and the mantra Om Tare, Tu Tare, Ture Soha. So let's put our hands into Gasho and take a couple cleansing breaths. And let us dedicate this beautiful meditation we're going to do to all sentient beings. And then taking a moment to bring into this beautiful healing circle any animals, people, or situations that need support. Whenever you're ready, you can put your hands face up or face down on your lap and then start chanting. You don't have to follow the same cadence as me or follow along with me. You can just do it at your own pace. Om Tare, Tu Tare, Ture Soha. 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 Om Tare, Tu Tare, oh, sorry. Om Tare, Tu Tare, Ture Soha. 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 Om Tare Tu Re Soha. Om Tare Tu Su Re Soha. Om Tare Tu 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 Re Soha. And as we end this meditation, let us still keep this beautiful, expansive energy within our bodies, knowing that we can tap into this place tonight, tomorrow, throughout our week. Whenever you're ready, you can open your eyes and bring yourself back. Thank you all so much. So I'm going to send you a YouTube where she's much more melodic than I am when chanting that. And the instructions on the PDF say chant 3 times. You can chant 3 times. You can do it like we did, where it's over and over. You can also just chant along with the one I'm going to send you from YouTube. It's a little bit longer. I think it's maybe even 30 minutes. You don't have to do it the whole time. I know I do this, the medicine Buddha with, you're welcome, Wilma, thank you. I do this with the medicine Buddha with Kathleen too. So you can chant a little, just sit in the space, maybe play the YouTube, sit in the space. But it really is a magical chant. If you haven't, for those of you who went to the conference, hopefully you got to see David Michi's. For those of you who haven't, we are selling those recordings. But David Michi shows a picture of him with a lioness who's laying at the fence by his feet. And he's doing the chant with her. And little did he know, the resident's little orange and white cat came and sat and lay down underneath the chair under David. So there was the lioness and the cat, and they're both looking the same way during this beautiful chant that David was saying to them. So this is a very magical chant. Whether or not you do animal Reiki or not, just practice it, go out, see what happens when you sit with the animals. Maybe you'll have a beautiful experience like Laureli. This practice is all about meditation. Yes, we give you certain practices and let animals lead, but there's it's always open for more meditations. Do what's comfortable, do what makes you feel love and grounded energy. Thank you all so much. Thank you, Judy, for popping in. Kelly, thank you so much as always for adding what you're at. Beth, thank you. Maud, thank you so much for sharing. Mary Lynn. Sahara, thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate you coming. And Wilma, thank you so much too. And thank you so much for all your wonderful comments. And Jamie, thank you so much. Jamie and I are here to help you as much as we can. We hope to see you next week. We're going to talk about social media next week. The good, the bad, the ugly. And now, AI, huh?
I just went, ah.
I know, right? The good, the bad, and the ugly. But now that we have AI, it's actually a lot easier. So we'll talk a little bit about that. And Jamie and I can share our experiences and hopefully hear from all of you on what you're experiencing with social media. So looking forward.
Judy just finished her LAL teacher training.
Oh, Judy.
Oh,
Yeah.
LAL teacher.
Oh my gosh, that's so amazing and wonderful. And if you need any support teaching, you know where to come. We're so excited for you. Oh my gosh, this is going to be great. And remember, even though we're in a bad economy, think outside the box, ladies. There's people that you can train that are outside the Reiki world that need this, who want this, who are praying for this, especially all the news about AI. I was just reading this morning an article, how it's really the doom of our civilization and how it's going to replace humans. Well, guess what? Humans are going to start looking to deeper things. They're going to start going away from tech. They're going to start going out to nature. They're going to start reconnecting. And so for all of us, what better time than now to start reaching these people? So that's my big get out there and share this practice with everyone. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye,
Thank
everyone.
you.
Thanks, Leah and
Good week.
Jamie.
Bye.
Bye.